Hey, Tom. Is the, can we still do work orders online now?
You can, yep, yep, you'll get there.
If you could please mute your cell phones, we're going to get the meeting started here in about 2 seconds.
Nobody can hear you. You can't hear.
Because they were talking. Okay, it's now 6:30 p.m.ish, and we're starting the Pine Ridge Board meeting located at 4801 Lakeside Club Boulevard. It's our monthly meeting, and this is our final meeting of the year. Would everybody please stand so we can say the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you, everybody. Ann, could you please call roll?
Bob Jones,
Here.
Tom Trino,
Here,
Scott Harris, Ann Irvin's here, Bill England,
Here.
John Noel,
Here.
and Roy Blaze.
Was the meeting properly noted?
Meeting is properly noticed, and we have a quorum of the board.
Great. Do I have a motion to waive last month's reading of minutes?
I'll make a motion.
Have a second?
second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, Eric, do we have anybody signed up tonight?
Well, possibly.
Possibly.
It's hard for me to read, but somebody said possibly.
That's me. I decided not to.
Okay. And then Skip.
I don't believe so.
Okay. Barb. She's a yes.
I'm always a yes.
Barb Jacks, 9540 Green Cypress Lane. I just need to make a statement about my resume. There is a typo in there. I did not arrive July of 2022. I have been a full-time resident of Pine Ridge since July of 2020. So again, I'm sorry of that, autocorrect. Thank you.
Oh, that's it. Well, we've had a few things going on here. Apparently the Treasure Palace, that's been closed and noted. Apparently it's not completely obvious to everybody. We've had some mattresses dumped in there, and I realized that they upcharge you $25 or something to take it out of here, but as you know, there's a problem getting that sort of trash removed, and last time it cost us several $100s to have that removed. So please, if you order a mattress, have them take the old one back with them. It would make a huge difference here. There's been a little confusion about what you can and can't throw in the dumpster. Basically, I believe, and Eric will correct me if I'm wrong, If you can fit it in that little dumpster, put it in there. Not a mattress. I know that you can fit one in there, but please, you know, TVs or something like that, they'll sort that at the dump and they'll take care of it.
There is a hazardous materials site that you can take hazardous materials to, but I don't see too many hazardous materials around here.
Why don't you just post that picture on the website and see if anybody knows who it is?
Mr. Mao is on that.
Yeah, we got our security.
So before you leave, please step up. And this is the picture of the guy that was dumping the mattresses. I know there's a lot of dog walkers, a lot of people that are out early. I was at 5:30 a.m. yesterday looking for this vehicle. I did it again this morning. So please, if you've seen this vehicle, I need your help.
Okay.
Because we will find them.
And this stuff is serious, and when we say you're on camera, or we're gonna know who did it, we're gonna find out who did it, so.
What kind of vehicle is it?
Wasn't me.
It is either a Chevy Tahoe, an Escalade, or a Suburban.
It looks like a Chevy or a GMC.
Bright silver. And the guy looks like he's probably as tall as I am.
Looks a lot like John. Just saying, so when you pick him out of the crowd, you know.
And there's no cowboy hat, so it can't be skipping that little car.
Guys in high school to walk around with mattresses.
So we have quite a few eyes out there in the neighborhood, and they're watching everything, and folks, they're watching that, so we're gonna find out about it. I've been working on quite a few other things. We've got a lot of stuff going on here as far as repair issues and taking care of things like the bocce ball court. I was out there with a concrete grinder on a Sunday afternoon making a dusty mess, and I apologize for that to anybody that might have noticed. There was one lady on the balcony smoking. She said it didn't bother her a bit, and I believe her. Like I said, we want this bocce ball court project to last, and that's why we went through the extra effort of researching this and trying to see what best suited materials would be. As you notice, I have a few samples of artificial turf here. With this particular company, we narrowed it down to the king of turf, as they call it, or their platinum selection. It's a shorter nap and it's very dense. And then what we would do is put a fill in it. It's a rubber particle, kind of like sand, and it goes in there to stiffen it up. I'm going to leave the sample here in the clubhouse of the one that we're looking at right now. I have received quotes from, I believe, maybe four other companies. I think they're kind of all in the same ballpark. What the one company suggested is that to reduce the cost a little bit, that we take this material and purchase just enough square footage for the project. It comes 15 feet wide, which would mean that we would have probably 4, maybe 5 seams in that running the length of it, and I don't think that's acceptable for something that's going to last. So we need one continuous roll of material. We're going to waste 4 feet of it, but it's going to make a big difference in the longevity of this. This one that we did like here has a 13-year guarantee. I don't know how that would actually work out in the long run, but they're going to stand behind it for 13 years. We have 4 other quotes here that we're going to look at. It's not as cheap as the carpet from Home Depot as you probably could imagine. Probably going to be a little over $2,000 for this material. If it lasts over 10 years, that's very cost effective. The labor, I gotta tell you, and prepping that and getting it ready is very cost intensive. And I think the one general quote that we got for refurbishing that court was, Barb said it was
Close to
10,000.
10 to 12,000.
We're gonna end up with a better job in the long run. The other thing that I've worked on is the dumpster situation, which we talked about last month. We just received some quotes on pre-made dumpster containment areas. So basically it's a kit. You get everything you need. 3 walls, the 2 gates. I asked for different quotes: vinyl, composite, aluminum. Eric looked at the quotes. I glanced at them. I needed a magnifying glass because they made it so small,
Yours, Mom.
crazy small. But I think we're talking 10,000,
12.
8 to 12.
From 11,000 to 17,000.
Yeah.
That's $3,000 free.
And we all know how long that might last in a hurricane. We could only get 1 season out of that type of material. That's a lot of money. I believe that we can do it much more cost effective. Concrete block. I worked out some pricing here. Materials, concrete, and having a brick mason do the block work. Naturally, that's the most expensive portion of it. His estimate came in at $3,400, and I believe that includes the block.
Well, that's what we'd originally talked about.
Pardon?
Per unit.
I'm sorry.
Per unit.
Yes, let me finish here. So on this estimate that I have permit, some wood framing for the foundation that it would need, $150 for concrete for that. We could do that internally with Matt, Bruce, and myself, and any volunteer we might have. John Sheehan came in at $3,400, but that's just the block. Then we need paint, we need to put some gates on it. It looks like about $5,100 per dumpster. And of course, the 10 to 12,000 was per dumpster. So we're gonna continue on and tighten up this estimate on the concrete block. And by next month, we should know where we stand on that project and when we might be able to start replacing a couple of them. We have 2, 3 that are destroyed. Yeah, so, you know, it'll be a project that will take a little while to, meaning maybe 2 years at least, maybe 3, depending on the condition and funds. We don't know where we stand yet on our insurance policy coverage, what's going to happen there. On the insurance side of it, the estimator that was out here, he did ask Eric to, what he did is kind of throw his responsibility Eric's way and tried to get Eric to take on the responsibility to determine internal damage on your apartment, condo, sorry. Insurance companies are very vicious and they know everything. They know what goes on at every property. We certainly don't want to get tripped up in any thing that might look like insurance fraud. double dipping, double claiming. I think that's all I want to say about that issue. We just don't want this community to go that direction. We don't want any problems. So with that, Eric can give us an update on insurance. I'm sure he has one.
Update on a number of things. 2022 is coming to an end, like Bob said. It's been a tough year. It's been a tough year. Period, end of story. I think that this community showed a lot of resilience in the face of a lot of the challenges. The economy was a big challenge all year long. Some of our long-time vendors that we really depend on, ownership changes and the adjustments that go along with that. Obviously the hurricane that changed the ballgame. And then losing a lot of friends and neighbors that we care about, and we have to honor them too. So it's easy for me to sit up here and say we had a tough year, but I'm not going to stick with that line. I'm going to say that the way the community stuck together, the way after the hurricane they came together, the way recently we saw the outpouring of support for John Fricker, that's a community. That's something you do not see elsewhere, and I want everybody to be aware of that. That doesn't happen in most communities. The real estate market remains strong. We had a condo recently sell to over $280,000, which is off the, not water view, it's a non-water view. That's the record condo for the last 10 years at least that I know of. And my understanding is there's going to be some villa listings above 300 coming up soon. Most of you, if you came in, you picked up your packets on the way in. That's the voting and election packet. It's the process of voting. I go through it every year with everybody up here. I like to show everyone. There's 7 people running for the board. Those people are Robert Tolles, John Mowell, and Tom Trino. Those are our incumbents. And we have Mike Lallen, Barbara Jacks, Bob Geisler, and Marty Hill volunteering their time and running also. So in this packet, you're going to have a letter explaining everything that's in here. It's going to give you some notices for the next meetings that are coming up when we do the election. And then you're going to have your limited proxy. It's very important that we get 232 proxies at least, or we cannot have an annual meeting. Just like we have to have 4 board members up here to have a board of directors meeting, the next meeting is the members meeting. So we have to have at least 4, so we have a quorum. 232 members is a quorum. That means we need 232 signed proxies. On this proxy, there's 3 items for you to vote on. One of them is an amendment to the declaration that we're going to talk about later on in the meeting. The other is to roll over the excess funds for tax purposes, which we do every year. And then the third question is, do we want to waive the financial audit since we had one in 2021 and it turned out well. So please fill that out. And then you'll see the amendment. One thing different this year than last year or years past is the instructions for submitting your ballot are going to be on a separate page from the ballot, because last year I realized, well, once they fold this up and put it in the envelope, they don't have the instructions anymore. So maybe that's one of the reasons why we don't get them right. So you're going to have that, and you're going to have 3 envelopes. There's an envelope 1, 2, and 3. I guess I don't have the envelopes. But no, it's okay. Envelope 1, which is very simple. Place your completed ballot only in the inner envelope labeled ballot envelope number 1. Then ballot envelope number 1 is sealed and goes inside ballot envelope number 2. This is just your vote for the board of directors, okay? Double sealed, signed with your unit number on it, and those stay double sealed. The proxy goes separately into a 3rd envelope, and then you can mail it all back in. The envelope has postage provided on it. You can also drop it off here at the office if you're here in town. If you have any questions, call us. If something looks like it's not right, we're gonna try to call you and get you down here to correct it, but it's a lot better if we do it right the first time. And the next 7 pages is gonna be your resumes, for your information sheets for your candidates. And then we have Meet the Candidates Night, which is where you get a chance to ask a question to the candidates. They'll tell you why they are running for the board, any ideas they might have, things like that. It's going to be January 5th, Thursday, at 6 o'clock in the clubhouse, right here.
How many spots are open?
There's 4 spaces open and 7 people running. But out of order, by the way.
Oh.
The last thing is just to plan ahead, social club calendar, save the date, and then we have a copy of the rules that the board's going to talk about tonight without all those lines in it, so maybe people could read it easier, and we were able to include that also in the packet. So please follow those instructions exactly. If you have any questions, we will help you. But the voting is very important. We're also going to need about a dozen volunteers in order to facilitate the voting process. And I posted a sign-up sheet for the election committee. There's a few people who do it every year that aren't here or aren't going to be here anymore, or aren't going to be here at that time, and some that aren't here anymore. They've moved out. So if you're interested in counting votes or helping to count votes or helping to open double sealed envelopes, we really appreciate it. It's important counting. We have a system where it's counted at both ends, so there's no mistakes, and it works very well, but it takes quite a few people in order to do it. So anybody who's willing, we appreciate that. So the insurance that Bob was talking about, they have an insurance adjuster from Heritage Insurance, which is our insurance company. And we have the deductibles, as I've explained before, are very high when it comes to a hurricane. But I did have a positive talk with him where it sounded like maybe we would. The math doesn't really add up to me that we were going to see any monies, but maybe we will. He's definitely identified some roofs that need to be replaced, probably the same ones that we've identified that need to be replaced too. But we're not privy to his report at this time, so basically whatever I could get him to say on the phone is what we have. What we are going to do is anybody that has interior damage, I know a lot of people have reported relatively minor interior damage, will be sent, when everybody gets back in January, I'm sure we're going to see even more people that have maybe a little water spot on the ceiling or something like that. We're going to try to compile a list, get it all together, get the adjusters in there to get their pictures and do what they need to do. And then I've already lined up a contractor who does that type of work and knock them all out in one day or 1 week or something like that, depending on how many we have. So that's all in the works. Of course, I would like to snap my fingers and have everything fixed. But this insurance process, it's really it's an interesting experience to go through, and they sure do take their time. He told us it'd take him a week and a half to get on every roof. He still told me he had 30 more roofs left to go. So I hope to have an update for you. As far as the roofing, they covered all the ridge vents right around Thanksgiving. Like we said, they capped off the vents. And I spoke to them yesterday, and they're going to come out early next week and finish most of the shingling that needs to be done, the re-shingling. And then the fascia and soffit, the metal, is on order, and it should be here pretty soon, I would imagine, and then they'll be out there to finish that. That doesn't mean that's a comprehensive list of roofing repairs. That's the obvious stuff. We're going to have to do more inspections and really look at every single thing, because we don't want to leave any stone unturned. Hurricane. We talked about the guests and the renters staying with people for the hurricane, and happy to report about a dozen people have come in and registered their family or their friends either as renters which some of them are, or as long-term guests, which some of them are. And we thank you. The ones that have not done it, please do it, because we're going to start cracking down on this right away. So please follow that rule. All we do is a criminal background check and require you to follow the rules of the community. So it's not very difficult, not a very difficult process. We don't have dates set in stone, but sometime between Christmas and New Year's, we're looking at having some pool and spa repairs that are absolutely necessary. And it may require the pool to be closed for a couple of days. We believe the pool and spa both to have a leak. That's why we've been keeping the water level a little bit lower, if you've noticed. So they're going to be picking up pavers, working on plumbing underground, doing all sorts of different things. And it could take a couple of days, and we might be closed for those days at the pool. We're going to try our best to hopefully minimize the situation as much as we can. And then the pool will need more work moving forward, but this is just immediate stuff that has to be done, infrastructure. The fountains at the lake, the lights around some of them are partially on one and completely on the other are out. Obvious hurricane damage is what they wrote here, and we're going to have them replaced. The 3 lights, each one has 3 lights. I called the owner of the company and I said, well, if we're doing it, should we just replace all 6 lights? Because they're all the same. And he really said it's not necessary. Those lights are pretty good, and he wouldn't do it. So he could have charged us for 2 more lights, and he didn't. So I'll take his word for that. And so that's going to be, they're $299 a light. So it comes out to around $1,500 when we're done. And that's in the works to be done very soon. Coming up in the next week, we're going to be mulching the community. You'll see mulch deliveries coming in very soon. We're going to be planting annual flowers in the flower beds and try to color this place up and have some bright flowers for you. And I'm working on getting with a wholesaler where we can get some a large load of trees. Obviously, we had to take a lot of trees down. See, we're still taking some trees down even today. There was a couple that they took down, and a couple more that need to come down. We like our trees. We want to replace our trees. We want nice trees. One thing we did notice in the hurricane is that the palm trees tended to fare better than the live oaks. So we definitely, if we're able to make this wholesale type of deal, which would probably be coming out of Homestead, that's where most of the material comes from. We are definitely going to have Florida native plants, but we're also going to have palm trees because the Florida live oak is where we got most of our hurricane damage from, and you see it all over the ground. Another thing I was asked to say is the butterfly garden. I guess some people have been out there doing some things that Michelle Locke, I think, was delegated to be the butterfly garden.
Yes.
And so if you want to do something with the butterfly garden, I would encourage you to either coordinate it with Michelle, or maybe Lori can help you get in touch with Michelle, because if one person has one idea and they're doing one thing and then the other person has a different idea, all of a sudden we have nothing, so it's better if we work together on that type of stuff. Looking back on the year and some of the stuff that we're working on and doing, we're going to put that white picket fence back up and get that looking right again over by our tree trunk. But over the course of the year, we got the stop sign at Orange River Boulevard. That's been a huge improvement, I think. I feel a lot safer every afternoon when I'm pulling out. We installed the sidewalk connecting Blackberry to Windsor Club Circle, which is something that people have wanted for a long time, and I think turned out beautiful. We installed the bridge to connect buildings 202 and 203, so the two parking lots, and they can cross over and not have to go down through a ditch and get their feet wet. Surveillance systems upgraded in the clubhouse and in the gatehouse. The pool chairs, the lounge chairs with durable material that's lasted much better. The exit button at the pool, where in the case of an emergency, you can exit, and even if you forgot your card at the table, you can still get out. And the new gate kiosk, along with many other things. These are just some of the things. So even though it's been a tough year, we've faced some challenges that we never thought were going to happen. You know, we accomplished a lot as a community, and it's as a community. I always like to say we, because it's all of us together. And without the board's support and the support of all of you, we wouldn't be able to do it all. I think that's all I have to say, Mr. President.
Can I ask you a question?
Sure.
The security lights, the big lights, a lot of them are still down. Didn't you think you mentioned that any chance that when they'll get fixed?
Yeah. We're working on getting some quotes on that. We have our electrician, which is Bob Leitner Electric, which I'll tell you a story, actually, that happened to a lady just yesterday, today. It was interesting. They came to, she called Mr. Sparky. She was having a problem with her electric. Her water heater wasn't working, her air conditioner. She called Mr. Sparky. Mr. Sparky came out, looked at it, and said, "We've got all of these problems, we're going to have to redo everything," and said, "I don't even know how much it's going to cost, but it will be at least $20,000 or more in order to do this." And
Mr. Sparky.
obviously the resident came down to see me and was very concerned, and I was very troubled by that also. So we called our electrician that works with us. His name is Brett Leitner, and his dad owns the company, Bob Leitner. And Brett came out last night and took care of the whole thing for the lady, $380. So, you know, be careful with what you do and who you're using and where you're going. You know, we like to support local businesses a lot, and honest people, and you know, just a story for you that really illustrates a lot. But
that's why I keep telling you to get several quotes, word of mouth, find out about them, know who you're giving your money to. The state of Florida is slam packed with scammers right now. I talked to a gentleman that paid $5,000 to have a tarp put over his mobile home. I've seen a lot of damage out there. I've seen a lot of these estimates for taking care of certain things. There are very costly items from a storm. We've talked about our trees here and the survival of them. You've all seen these big banyan trees. We have one over on Windsor Club Circle or somewhere over there that's kind of large, maybe about 4 feet across the base. We had a 6-foot base one, and the ground got so wet the tree fell over and the roots pulled right out of the ground. I'm sure you've seen those driving around town. They're all over the place. This particular one took a very large crane and a lot of other equipment. It was a $20,000 stump removal.
Wow.
That's your Florida Federal Disaster Relief is paying for these items. But if we had a storm and say we had 3-4 days where we had excessive rain and that ground got wet, and then we got some wind and that tree blew over, that's not a disaster. Those items are on us. And that's why we're so concerned about our trees here, and we keep trimming them to keep that top weight out of those trees. The other thing is I've seen a lot of estimators out in the field, and I gotta tell you, these guys are very well trained for identifying hurricane-related damage. They are experts at it. Eric?
When it comes back to that, typically, as an association, as the manager, I don't like to recommend any vendors, because as soon as I recommend them, that's when the mistake happens and we get mad. But if you ever want to know, like, who is the plumber that we would use, who is the electrician that we would use, who's a window company that other people have used, you know, feel free to call us and we will try to get you some names of reputable people, and then references hopefully in the community of people who have used them, and that's very helpful.
Is there any way you could make a list of those?
No, because that would be and we can't answer questions from the audience, but we're not going to recommend companies because we're not in the business of advertising for companies. But if you have a problem and it seems like it's something that might be serious, let us know. You know, let us know. And
great. We have some committee reports. I'm going to start with John Mao.
Again, there's a bolo on him. I want this guy. I think he's one of our pickleball players that comes in from out of town. Because I keep looking at it, and he's at least as tall as I am. Much younger, though. He looks like Skip. But, again, those light poles, we've been looking at, the metal ones, the fiberglass
yeah, never
ones.
answered your question.
We're looking for the concrete poles, something that's going to last through one of those storms.
And we're going to have Lightner Electric, who's installed some of those poles for us, and then I've got another company that's going to be coming out. We're going to quote from them and go from there. A lot of them got twisted around where the lights are facing just the other way. I mean, it's unbelievable, but it shows you how strong the winds were.
And again, we do have people that are still trying to get in the gate. We do have people that are in this compound that clean houses, and they allow people to ride in behind them. Please, do not do that. If they hit the gate, it's going to be on you. So, if you're bringing somebody in, shame on you. Give them a fob, have them call your name from the kiosk. It's real simple. Please, and
when people do hit it and knock it off and cause real damage, which does happen, we have had over $2,000 worth of damage from a vehicle at one point this year that their auto insurance had to pay. But if you do that and then you leave the scene, that's essentially a hit and run. And we have your tag number, and we will call the police, and they will call you back here. We've done it before, and you're going to be responsible. And it's really not worth it. The minimum is usually around $500 in damage, and it could be much more than that. It's really not worth it.
we still do have the speeders. I know one almost hit Skip the other day. I don't know if it was planned or not, but he tried to take Skip out, and it's our infamous guy. So again, if you see somebody that's speeding, give me a tag number and color of the vehicle and what type it is. Really, because everybody is out there early walking, so please be careful.
And without any sidewalks, you know, we share the roads with the people and the pets and the cars. We all share the roads, so be careful. Golf carts also. I've heard of some golf carts coming around the corner fast and almost hitting people. Please be careful.
One more thing, Bob. And for all those people that have those electric bikes, they go a lot faster than 15 miles an hour. I see 3 guys flying around here like they're Harley Davidsons. And if we have to, we're going to stand out in front of them and slow them down, because somebody's going to get hurt, and they're very quiet. All right, thank you.
I have a question on the bikes, John. The golf carts can't take the path around the lake in front of the condos on this end. Are those bikes allowed to do that? The electric bikes?
I'll have to check with the rules committee.
Yeah.
Okay, we should look at that.
I would say common sense would be no motorized vehicles other than a handicapped type of ADA approved device.
Lori, do you have any thing you want to share with us on our hurricane damage?
I do have a landscape committee report.
Okay.
Due to illness, I was not able to attend the November board meeting. I apologize. The landscape committee report I submitted was not read as written. In my absence, the president raised concerns about the landscape committee and me specifically, to which I submit. The landscape committee is working on a 3 to 10 year plan. If we have enough volunteers in 2023, we will continue with this project. During the course of several tours in early 2022, we've brought to Eric's attention several trees and landscape areas that required immediate attention. We also realized our landscape has very few native plantings and trees in our landscape. We researched landscape-related information available on the website, as well as information provided by Scott, the previous landscape chair, and Eric. The last large landscape project was done in 2013 for an approximate total of $57,500. Of the new plants, only 16% were native, and there was an invasive species planted at that time. We've looked at the approved plant list from Avant Yard, referred to as Larry's List. In that list, only 17% are native, and 2 on that list are invasive. We then looked at 2022 plantings that we are aware, that the landscape committee is aware of, but we don't have all the specific species, so we're not sure how many were native. I know I had a strong voice in one decision when it came to firebush along the northeast Sailview fence. Originally, they were not going to be native, but eventually we put 50% of them in as native. This is important because we're not following our declaration. As outlined in Section 6, maintenance responsibilities of the Declaration of the Condominium, paragraphs, do you mind passing that around? Just so the board has an exact copy of what I'm talking about, because I've mentioned this before. But in paragraph 6.1.2, it indicates the landscaping will be maintained such that not less than 30% of the total plantings are Florida native, and not less than 50% of all replantings are to be Florida native plants, or as otherwise mandated by law. This is important. That is the reason why the Landscape Committee prepared 2 evergreen documents with source references at the bottom of the document, providing information about Florida native plants and invasive plants. These documents were not created to recreate the will, Bob's words, but to offer assistance to the board and Eric in choosing plants to add to our landscape.